Welcome back to another episode of Adventures in Business. This is where we interview people from the 517 Lansing area doing something cool, innovative, unique, giving back to the community, something like that. This is your co-host, Amy Zander, and as always, I'm with the lovely Lisa Fisher. How you doing, Lisa?
I'm good, Amy. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm great. It's Podcast Tuesday. We get to record on Tuesdays, my favorite day of the month. So, yeah.
We meet some really cool people when we get to put these podcasts together. Some we get to meet before and some not after. And so I have the lovely opportunity to meet our guest today, but she invited me to the Social Sloth. Oh my gosh. I used to
Mm.
go visit them when they were downtown. And then when they moved to Okemos, I haven't gotten out that way. Best baklava in the area, I swear. And they're just such a great husband and wife team that operate that. But it was just really good to be able to get back out and as a reminder, I need to go visit them a little more often. So,
Yeah, I haven't been to their new location. I did go a few
nice.
times. Well, we went there one time for my daughter's birthday, and I was like, just bring us a whole bunch of little desserts. We just want to try everything. And it was so fun. And we tried so many good things. And then they have that wonderful, I think it's Turkish coffee or something. It's almost like so thick, almost the spoon almost stands up by itself in the cup.
Yep.
So good stuff. That's good stuff.
They're kind of tucked back in. I
Okay.
didn't know their previous location, and so they're kind of tucked back in. I go to Cancun a lot, and they're just like a door or two down from there. I'm like, well, I've never noticed this place before. So
Yeah.
yeah, now it's kind of one I'm trying to work into my routine.
Yeah. It's on your radar.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. Cool. That's
Very
cool. I
fun.
I recently went on a like 20-mile bike ride. And before you get real impressed by that number, I have an e-bike, so it's easier than a normal bike. All right. So
Yeah.
don't get too impressed by me going on a 20-mile
Darn
bike
it.
ride. But we have some friends that have e-bikes, and we just a lot of times we go out of town, but this time we started over off of Jolly and Dunkel, kind of across from
Yep.
Leo's Lodge. There's a trail
Oh
that
yeah.
starts back there, and then we went all the way into like Holt and Mason, and we had to the bridge under the bridge was flooded out, so we had to like go through the woods. We got some poison ivy. It was super fun, but I was really I'm just I'm impressed with our bike riding abilities sometimes.
You
But we
got
do
to
have
start somewhere, right?
yeah, and we do have a lot of really cool trails in this area, and they're just making more all
Absolutely.
the time, so that's really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you've heard her voice. Who we got, Lisa?
Excellent. Excellent. We have Carrie Rathbun Hawks, APR, a dynamic communications professional, change agent, and public speaker. With more than 3 decades of experience across many public and private business and community sectors, she is an expert at diving into her clients' industries, understanding their goals, and in guiding them strategically to success. As a speaker and trainer, Carrie delivers on point, motivating, and impactful presentations. She is a 2018 Athena International Award winner and an accredited member of the Public Relations Society of America. She also gives back to the greater Lansing area as a board member for Epiphany Now, love it, a Lansing based organization dedicated to passing kindness forward. A junior achievement classroom volunteer helping organize professional development opportunities for fellow PRSA members locally and memberships or committee positions in numerous regional business and women's leadership organizations. After becoming the Athena Women's Leadership Cohort, Carrie realized she discovered the tools to elevate her to the next level of accomplishment as a woman business owner and community leader. The sense of empowerment led her to become an Athena certified facilitator, helping other women and youth find the same enhanced confidence as one of her passion projects. Woo, welcome, Carrie. I love it. I can't wait to hear more about your PR company and Athena and anything that you want to talk to us about today. So,
Well,
how are
thank you.
you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for sharing all of that. It's always kind of weird when you hear people, read your stuff back and you think, wow, was that me? Wow. Okay. Gee. On the days when you think that you haven't accomplished much or you're not getting anywhere, you hear that and you think, I think I'm doing okay. And so
Yeah.
thank you for that. I'm appreciative of the opportunity to be here. I've met both of you wonderful ladies through different channels and getting to know you. And so thank you again for the chance to be here. And yeah, I've been doing PR for 32 years. I've been on my own for 22 of that. I'm based in my home in Langsburg on the beautiful Lake Victoria. And I have worked across the state with different organizations. I'm primarily around the Shiawassee County, Genesee County, and Lansing area. And, it's a real blessing to be able to do this on my own, but the success of it still comes with the right partnerships and continuing to learn and evolve as a practitioner. And then a year and a half ago, I happened to meet, when I received my Athena Award in 2018, I started poking around thinking, oh gosh, there's more to this organization. I'd known about it for a long time. It was founded in Lansing, if you don't know, at the Lansing Regional Chamber by Martha Mayhood Mertz. And I didn't realize they did programming and leadership programming. And I happened to have the opportunity to meet Tracy Costa, the Athena CEO, at a Lansing Win event, Athena Win event. And I was talking about kind of looking for something else in my career and in my life. I was happy with my PR business. It was going really well. But my son had gone on to college. My husband and I were kind of empty nesters. I've been through a lot of personal and professional journeys and opportunities and challenges and blessings and not such blessings. But I realized at one point when I went through a pretty serious illness a few years ago that I wanted to do something more, and I wanted to have that passion project. I wanted to have something that was fulfilling in my heart, but that also I realized in looking back that I'd been through all this stuff and had really become a much stronger person, a much faithful person. And I wanted to help other women in particular get to that same realization that they have all this potential in them, and that all the stuff that comes into our world, professionally or personally, kind of all makes us who we are. And Tracy said to me, you need to do this cohort, Carrie. And I did it, the Being Athena Women's Leadership Cohort. And I loved it so much that I became a certified facilitator. Definitely the right fit for me. I've been doing the cohorts for a year now, and I just really love it alongside my PR business, which I've just been blessed with for 22 years of my own, but 32 years in PR in general.
So you can switch gears on us anytime we want when we ask questions. However, the Athena Win Woman of the Year is a big deal. It is a really big deal. It's not something. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For our listeners, can you explain what Athena really is? What does all that stand for,
Sure.
please?
Athena International was founded, as I said, by Martha back in 1985, I think, when she worked for the Lansing Chamber. And she realized very quickly that women just didn't have a place at the table. And even when they did, they were talked right over, often by men, or there were too many women that were trying to climb up the backs of other women. And she wanted something different. She recognized the potential to bring women in and to get them involved. And from that came the Athena International Leadership Award, which started at the Lansing Chamber. It is now given out through, more than 135 countries, I think, around the world, or communities, we call them. I received mine from the Shiawassee Regional Chamber of Commerce, and we were one of the first to start doing it after Lansing. So Athena International is really about uplifting, empowering, and transforming women and girls and our allies, men. We're not man haters here or anything like that, but it's about the opportunity for women and girls to recognize that they have things to celebrate. They have things that they can pull from themselves and discover about themselves as leaders to ignite and amplify and to give to people back. And so it's really just about, Athena International is more of a catalyst, really, of bringing women together through leadership opportunities, educational opportunities, networking opportunities. And the Athena Award, people generally know if it's given out in their community. Educational institutions also give out, a lot of universities, but that may be all they know. And that's as far as their knowledge goes. And they don't know that there's this whole international organization around this award. That is just one part of what Athena International does.
Yeah. I think it goes back to what you said way at the beginning, is that when Lisa was reading your bio and you don't always think about all of the things you've done, I think that's very true of business owners and people that are creating something or doing something, because you're always focused on the next thing you need to do, the next milestone, the next yearly goal that you set for yourself. And you don't have a boss that's patting you on the back or giving you a raise or telling you great job. And so that's why I think these organizations, another reason they're so amazing, is that you can surround yourself with people who will cheer you on and celebrate your successes with you and remind you of how far you've come. I think that's just so important.
Yeah. And the cohorts, I happen to be starting one in September again, and it's 10 weeks. It's a commitment, but we meet every week for 2 hours, and I do mine online. I do mine virtually, so anybody can join if they can make the 5:30 to 7:30 Eastern, the time zone. I had a woman in my cohort last time from California. And the thing about the cohorts, they're very introspective. It is a very personalized and unique journey for each woman. It is not about, here are the 4 steps to take and you're going to be the best leader in the world. This is about the empathic stuff, the softer side of leadership skills that women are so good at. But that we can often easily be dismissed, when really that's the stuff that we often bring to the table. And we need to celebrate that. But women go through these 10 weeks and we dive really deeply into the 8 principles of enlightened leadership that are the foundation of the Athena leadership model. And I know Lisa's familiar with this. She has facilitated programs through Athena Win with the Lansing Chamber. And we really dive deeply into things like living authentically, learning constantly, fostering collaborations, being courageous, advocating fiercely, giving back, celebrating. Even if there are things that didn't go so well, there's still something to celebrate in that.
Yeah.
So the people in the cohorts, there are 4 women. There is a men's cohort as well, but I've had men take my cohort, and we get very close. Becomes a very safe space, a lot of vulnerability, but we come out at the end of it, and everybody always says, I can't believe this is done. I can't believe this is over. And for me to be part of that and to see their transformations, and I just facilitate. I'm not a coach. I'm not a therapist. I just facilitate, but it is so fulfilling to me that I almost have to fight back the tears in my eyes some weeks, because I've seen them talk about so many things and feel so empowered. And I love helping them get there. So,
yeah. It's also a great reminder of the fact that everybody's always got things they're dealing with, right? And I think as business owners and entrepreneurs, a lot of times we put on this everything's great, business is great, I know everything, I know how to do everything in my business, because you don't want to ever seem in a business way that you don't know what you're doing. And we all have those moments what am I doing?
Right.
And so I think it's always comforting and reassuring to talk to other people, and we're all just people, we're all just dealing with stuff. And to keep that in mind when you're interacting with other people. You don't know what kind of day they're actually having.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And even when I interact with clients, I since I took the cohort, I've noticed myself, because you go through the predictive index, you go through an assessment, and you answer 2 questions. It's all there is to it. And it's the same words for each question. It's number 1, how are you perceived how do you describe your leadership skills? And how many of these words describe how you think other people perceive you? And it's the same set of words. But it spits out this analysis and these graphs that are just amazingly, almost scary accurate. But I've learned, I have seen how I deal with clients even very differently than I used to, and how I catch myself in board meetings or committee meetings, because I am very much a results oriented person and a doer, and I'm okay with risk. I'm not risk avoidant. And so I can sometimes plow right in to things and seem like I'm being pushy or I can't let go of something. And I'm learning to be just a little more aware of that, or to just raise my hand and say, just so you know, this is kind of how I tend to roll. So forgive me in advance, you know, and this is, and that's how I advocate for myself. But I deal with clients differently. And that I think has helped my business as well to navigate conflict, to determine, like, if a new client is approaching me or there's an opportunity, really, instead of jumping at it because I feel like, oh yeah, I shouldn't turn anything down, even after 22 years, to think about, is this really going to be a fit for me?
Yeah.
Is the personality there? Are they going to respect my leadership style? So yeah, it applies in a lot of places.
I love that, because you answered the question that I was going to ask about how you've seen this spill over into your business and your professional life, because it does it, and it's not just that, it's your personal life. It's all aspects on how the Athena principles can stick with you and lead you wherever you go.
Right.
So what's next for you in that arena from the Athena perspective? What's the next step?
Well, as I mentioned, I'm doing another cohort this fall, and that'll run from September 9th to November 11th. And so there's the 2 week or the 2 hours every Monday night that we do online, and then there's a workbook that comes with that as well. So you do have a little bit of homework in between. It generally averages out with the 2 hour cohort for maybe 4 hours a week, depending on if you're really good and faithful with your workbook. That's an honor system. I don't check that or anything like that. But I also am doing some work with the Michigan Chamber of Commerce and their My Athena program. And I'm going to be speaking at their leadership summit that's coming up in September, and talking about what is Athena International, the mothership, so to speak. What does the Leadership Institute look like for Athena? What are these cohorts? And oh, by the way, this is how you can get it into a cohort. This is how it works. And there's going to be, you know, some announcements coming out and some relationships that we're going to be expanding upon. And it's just for me, it's just continuing to make those connections with women and even men, and just say, I think you'd be really good for this. I think, you know, you may have some employees that are primed for this, that are ready to go to the next step in their career, or that are thinking they might want to change. And we get people and then they're like, I just don't even know, my evaluation is coming up. I really feel like I should be paid more, but I have no idea how to do that and how to ask for that. And two of the women in my last cohort were 25 years old and their first jobs right out of college. And they were going through that during the cohort. This group just came right around them and just said, you need to know this and you need to prepare this. And both of these women got the raises and got what they wanted out of it. And they said, I never would have had the courage to do that if I hadn't done this cohort. And so that is what fulfills me, and what I like. Those are the stories I like to tell when I'm out talking about it, because people's eyes kind of light up. They're like, oh yeah. And that's what I get out of it that means so much to me.
Yeah, I can only imagine what my career, you know, would have been like if I had something like that at 25. Like, wow, could have really used that.
It's not too late. Yeah. It's not too late.
No, I wrote this all down. Dates, all these things. I wrote it down. I'm going to check it out for sure. It sort of reminds me a little bit along the lines of Dale Carnegie, as far as like this, like that's where Lisa and I met, was a Dale Carnegie course. Yeah. But as far as like having that group of people that you get to really know and go through this process with, and they all become your friends and stuff, or maybe even your podcast host eventually. So yeah, that's cool. I think that's amazing, the whole Athena stuff, but I also don't want to ignore talking about your business as well, what you do. Will you spend a couple minutes for our listeners talking about what exactly public relations is? Because I think a lot of people don't really understand that, and how it's different from like marketing or similar or whatever, and just give that little background for our listeners.
Yeah, thanks. I'd be happy to. And you're absolutely right. It is something that I remember over the years, people saying, can you explain it to me like you would your grandmother? You know, how would you boil this down? The essence of public relations is building relationships with your target audiences through two-way communication and relationship building.
Yeah.
That is the essence of what PR is. And so that is accomplished through finding, first of all, knowing who your audiences are, who do you need to be talking to, because maybe you're not talking to the right people. And part of what I do is help people figure that out sometimes.
Yeah.
It is, are you using the right channels to get to them? Are they receiving the message? And are they engaging? What are your goals for that? And how do you want to be influencing or persuading? What is the image you want to be building? What are the stories you want to tell? With technology has come this wonderful opportunity to do so much more storytelling, which is a great way to build relationships and bring people together and connect them, feel like they have a connection to your organization and the people behind it, and to understand in a way that's very lay friendly or could be visual in nature. So it's about finding ways to tell those stories, to build those relationships. Now, it also involves crisis communication. It also involves internal communication. It involves social media and digital media. It involves external communications, event planning. There's a lot that comes to it. People think, oh, you work with the media and you get people on TV and you do interviews and play stories. That's PR. Yes, that's one part of it. But if you're truly doing public relations, you want to be thinking about, we call it the 4-step process, which is you start with research, you go into planning, then you implement, and then you evaluate. So you start and you finish always with a form of research. So you got to know, you got to have a path that's being lit in some way if you're really going to do it right, and be willing to make that investment. Because I've seen so many people over the years, they want to ignore, they don't want to do the research, they want to skip it. Oh, I know, I already know all about my people and all about what's going on. We don't need to invest in that.
Right.
And man, it can really backfire on them. Or they never come back around and evaluate, did we meet our measurable objectives? Did we get to the people we wanted? Yeah, we had a successful event, or we got some great media stories, but did we get them where we wanted them and to the people we wanted?
Right.
So
Yeah.
hopefully that's helpful. That's
no, very, very helpful.
Marketing is more about you're selling something. So it's more of a push message, and often there's a sales component to it. Advertising is obviously the paid stuff you buy. And so we have had to become integrated. We just have had to over the years. When I started my career 32 years ago, we were definitely in silos. And now I have to know enough about all of it to be able to guide a client and counsel a client on what is the best thing in terms of strategy. And then when I go in, I do a lot of things called communication audits, where I go in, because I'm, after 32 years, you're kind of up more at the 35,000 foot level, right? And so I do a lot of going in and working with clients on, let me look at all your stuff, let me talk with your people, a huge research component to it to determine, how are you doing?
Right.
Where are you? And that can be organizational change.
So what are some things that would motivate a client to approach you to hire you? Like something going on in their company. I mean, I understand crisis comms. There's like something just hit the fan and we need to know how to, I understand that immediate thing. But other than that, why do people come to you?
So it can vary. I have had my biggest client that I have right now started with them needing help writing a feature story on a big award they give out each year. And she just was overwhelmed and needed help with she needed a writer. And she got my name from a colleague that I'd met at a networking event that I wasn't going to go to, and I decided to go to. And so it started with that. And then it quickly turned into, well, I need help with doing our annual appeal at the end of the year. And we need to get a newsletter going. And we have no one doing media. We have all these great things going on in this organization. We have nobody working with the media. And so before I knew it, I was on retainer and I was doing all this stuff for them. And it's just grown over the years. I have had clients come in who they know they need to do social media, this social media thing, but I don't know what that looks like. Now, I am not a social media or digital expert. I mean, Amy, you've got far more going on that than I do, but I have people like you to partner with. And I know it has to be dangerous, but they might come in with that. And I'll say, yeah, you need to have this as a strategy, but you don't need me in the middle. So I'm going to pass you off to an Amy or to another person.
Yeah.
People that come to me that they're having issues with keeping employees, and they recognize that it's just not enough anymore to throw money at them. People want an experience. They want
the culture.
So how does how do I do that? How do I explain that to people and get our story out? And I may need to back them up to the research phase to figure it out. And then we go through the planning. So it can be a whole plethora of things that bring people to me. They may be having an event and they want to promote it. They also want to make sure that it's successful and it generates revenue. So again, how do you message it? How do you,
It's a very blurry fine line sometimes between PR and marketing.
Yes.
I think you wear a lot of hats.
Yes.
Right. And but it absolutely all goes back to your why, your message, and who's your audience, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And what, Carrie, was your why? What inspired you to do PR?
Well, funny, when I was in high school, I took a speech class, and I did really well, and I really liked it, and I was really good at English, so I was a good writer. And I remember being in English class once in high school, and they would ask questions about things, and my teacher finally said, "Somebody besides Carrie raised their hand." I don't mean that in a vain way at all, but I said something, or my speech teacher said, "You would be really good at public relations." I'm like, "Well, sounds great. What is it?" And he's like, "It has a lot of writing, a lot of speaking involved." And I was going to Michigan State, one of the best communication colleges in the nation. And so I just said, "Good, I'm going to do PR." But it wasn't until I had my first class, with my first PR class, and a speaker came in, and she was the PR director for the Michigan Nurses Association. And she took me on. I guess I asked enough questions. She handed me her card. I became her intern, and I realized I had good mentors. I had professors. I had other women. She took me to PRSA meetings. There used to be a Public Relations Association, Michigan back then, ad club meetings, that used to have that exists in a different form now. But I had a lot of people that sort of kind of pushed me and offered me these things to recognize that, this is what I want to do. And I was just hooked. And so that's, it has stuck with me. I've done mostly multi-client agency work. I have had a corporate stint. I've done some nonprofit work. And so, they say that agency PR people tend to be, kind of 1 or 2 inches deep, but a mile wide, because we do so many different things. And we have this knowledge that translates across industries. We just need to learn maybe new subject content. And I love that variety, which is why I like doing consulting and agency type work.
Yeah.
I
have to imagine that a big part of your job is just knowing a lot of people. Right? Yeah.
It really is. It really is. And sometimes there's just enough of an introvert in me that it's hard sometimes to walk in. My first meeting with NAC, the National Association of Career Women, and Lansing Women's Forum, and all these different groups I belong to, you walk in and you don't know if you're going to know anybody there. And it takes a lot of courage to do that.
It does.
And be brave and to make that happen. But you know what? Every time I do it, I come out with a positive outcome. I've met somebody, I've made a connection, and I end up being so glad I went. But you build your network in a lot of ways. And I think one of the best pieces of advice I ever got right off the bat was, do not burn bridges.
Oh yeah.
No matter how
you never know.
Never know. And so how much you were wronged or how much you were hurt, you stay on the high road. You stay on the high road. And I've passed that along. And that perception is reality. It really is. Perception is reality. So much more now so than ever before.
Right.
And
there's so much more reality in our faces all the time with social media and everything. Yeah.
So, Carrie, I could listen to you and talk to you about all of this all day long. Is there anything we've not asked you that you would like to share?
I think not only being a solopreneur, but also it relates to the Athena stuff. One of the worst pieces of advice I ever got, and I still think back on it at this point in time, and I think, I can't believe this woman said this to me. I went out on my own after I had my son, and I knew I wanted to keep working, but I didn't know if I wanted to commit to going back to where I had worked before, or if I was going to end up falling so in love with my child that I didn't want to work anymore. I wanted that flexibility.
Yeah.
And I had a big enough Rolodex and an office at home that I was able to do that. But one of the first, I was partnering with somebody on a project, and we went to a meeting, and we were meeting with a couple of men at this company. And they asked me about myself, and I told them that, I just recently started my company. I had my son 3 months ago. I'm so excited to be doing this on my own. And we walked out of that meeting, and she and I rode together to the meeting, and she said, don't ever tell them that you're a new mom and that you're just starting your business. Don't bring up the fact that you're a mom and you are a new mom with a new kid. And I remember being dumbfounded and not really knowing what to say, but yet I knew in my gut that didn't feel right. And I would never, ever say that to a woman now, ever. That's nothing to be ashamed of.
No.
And if people don't want to work with you because of that, shame on them.
Right.
Yeah. You don't want them as your client. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
Yeah. I'm sure she was trying to protect you, but it wasn't really the right, the right message. Yeah.
A generation that
Yeah.
she probably truly learned the hard that probably wasn't a good idea, and she just has been climbing and hitting that glass ceiling. Mm-hmm. I do think she meant well. I do.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it struck me, I just didn't, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then of course I'm like, oh geez, did I hurt our chances of getting this? And but I have thought of that over the years, and I'm like, I would never ever say that to anybody, because everybody is just who they are, and they have their own goals and their own opportunities that are out there for them to grab. Mm-hmm. And you know, who you are is who you are, and you should never be ashamed of what you bring to the table and what you have going on in your life. You don't have to throw it out at everybody all the time.
Yeah, you never know. You might have connected with somebody that you're talking to who was a new parent as well, or they get it, or you have no, yeah. Can you give us a real quick, like, this is, I don't know, maybe a loaded question, maybe it's not a quick answer, but for advice for women who may be in a situation where they're in a meeting at a table and they are being either talked over or not listened to, or somebody, restate something as it was their own idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have like a tip or something that, they could do in the moment?
It depends, of course, on the situation and what the risk might be. But one of the ways that I have found that helps me to handle that, and I've heard some other women share in cohorts because this topic always comes up.
Sure.
Is to let them say something and say, hey, appreciate you saying that. It goes right along with what I said earlier. And I appreciate that it sounds like you were listening to me. I'll maybe kind of make a joke of it. That sounds like you were listening to me, and that's great. I like that. Here's what I think we should also think about.
Right.
In that instance.
Yeah.
So that is my first reaction to that. But sometimes if you're feeling like that's too risky, sometimes you need to maybe handle it offline or with that person and say, I really felt a little bit disrespected in that moment, because this was something I had just said, and maybe you didn't hear me, but it kind of felt like everybody did. And I really appreciate that you loved what I said, but next time, can we agree that maybe, I can have my moment too?
I like that. That's some really good advice. I also think too that women in general are much more aware that these things happen, because they happen more to us than other people. I always try to be the ally in the room. Like if I see it happening to someone else, I'm always like, oh, I'm sorry, I think Carrie just said that, or maybe Carrie has something to say, or isn't that just what Carrie said, or that kind of thing. I try to, and I think if more women and again, we're saying women because I think it happens a little bit more to us, but I'm sure it happens to everybody. If we could, be a little bit more aware of that and just support each other and look out for each other, I think that's great.
And Lisa, what's the principle? Advocate fiercely, right?
Yes. Yes.
For yourself or for a cause you may believe in. People hear advocacy and they think, oh, I got to go out and be a political being, or I've got to go out and fight this cause and give my whole heart and soul to it. No, it's as much about for yourself, even if it's only internally advocating for what you believe in, but it's also advocating for other people who have a hard time with finding their voice. They may be someone who they're perfectly okay sitting in the back and not talking. They're listening, they're taking it in, but don't ask them to talk.
Right.
And I won't get into what that means in the PI, the predictive index, but women we have to start being more mindful of lifting each other up. And I have a graphic that I put at the end of the Advocate Fiercely. I think it might also be my Celebrate week of the cohort that says, women, be the woman who adjusts another woman's crown when nobody's looking.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly it. Exactly it. Oh my goodness. This has been such an awesome wealth of information on two different perspectives. You did a great job covering both topics, which I dearly love.
Thank you.
And,
thank you.
Is there anybody specifically that you would like to meet that Amy and I might know or might be listening to our show?
I know her, but I don't know if other people know all that she does. And that's Nicole Noel Williams, who is the CEO of the Capital Region International Airport. She is an Athenian as well. And the things that woman is involved with that you would not know, and the things that she touches, I mean, you might, Lisa, or maybe Amy from walking in circles with her, but Nicole is funny. She's down to earth. She tells it like it is. She's very authentic, and she lifts other women up. And she understands. She was in marketing and PR for the airport, left, came back. And so she understands what it's like to have to build relationships and build coalitions and talk about being in a male-dominated world.
Sure. Yeah.
And so Nicole is someone that would be great. And I also think that, you guys may know Matthew Anderson, who he's a great motivational speaker and has done the Dale Carnegie thing. He facilitates the men's cohort for Athena International. But he also has a book that he's written, and he does a lot of stuff like that. And then Bob Hoffman. I love Bob, but people know him as the voice of Wharton Center. They don't know all the other stuff that Bob does, that he founded.
The Epiphany Now, and he does
the Good Neighbor segment for Fox 47. He's kind of their community relations person. Bob wears all these hats, and he's everywhere.
Like
and he always leaves you with a smile and feeling good about yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, he does. He's awesome.
It's so genuine.
Yeah. I worked as an intern under Bob in the 90s.
Oh my God.
Through MSU when I was a journalism student at MSU. Okay. He and I go way back.
Yep.
He's one of those. He's one of those early mentors in my life that I will never forget. Yes.
Yep. How nice.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, these are great examples and people we need to reach out to get on our show for sure.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being on our show. This has been great, and I'm definitely gonna look into that Athena cohort. That sounds great.
Let me know. I'm happy to get you the information. And I just want people to know that whether it's working from the PR stuff that I do or the Athena stuff that I do, bottom line, it's all about relationship building and finding your voice and finding your purpose. And I am a very passionate person. When I get into something I believe in, and I'm very passionate, I'm very loyal. And so if that's what you're interested in terms of working with someone from a communication standpoint or the women's leadership stuff, I would love to have a conversation with you. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
We've made a connection.
Mm-hmm.
We've made
Yeah. And you can maybe have that conversation at the Social Sloth in Okemos that you went to. I'm bringing it back to the beginning. Yeah, for sure. Well, you've heard it here, guys. and gals and everybody listening to our show, check out Athena and their cohort for leadership, and check out, Carrie Rathbun Hawks' business with his Rathbun PR. And, think about how you can increase your communication skills, or maybe you need Carries in your business to help you with something that your business is struggling with or wants to improve. So, yeah, thank you again, Carrie, for being on our show. This has been awesome.
Thank you for having me. This has been fun. I love it.
Great. Yeah, thank you. Thanks. And to all of our listeners, of course, thank you for coming along on another adventure with us. We release new episodes every Wednesday. You can find us at zdiamedia.com or wherever you listen to your podcast. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel for Adventures in Business, so you can see all of our lovely faces when we talk. And please, go out and have a great day. And as always, make it an adventure.
This is a Zedia Media production.